Thank you again for coming to the November-December forum. As you know, we could not have the forum last month because of all the holiday seasons and so on. And the same thing is going to happen in December. So we've combined the two, November and December, and we're having it today. And then the next one will be in January. So again, thank you for coming today. And this is the fifth forum that I'm holding at CCSF. And I hope you have enjoyed this forum so far and that you've been able to listen to some of the information I've been sharing with you, and I've been able to answer the question that you might have. And again, don't forget that if you think that I haven't answered your question, please send the questions again, and we're going to have staff look at your question and provide you with the answers that we need to give you, and the appropriate, the correct answers to the question. Let's start with some very good news. First, I want to congratulate the entire workforce development team. On November 18th, the Workforce Development Office collaborated with the Outreach Office on the Virtual Career Education Showcase. The event featured an overview of CCSF, the new website, and the 8 academic and career communities. About 200 current and prospective students participated in the main session and 8 of the career communities breakout sessions. This was a true collaborative effort among 5 administrators, 11 classified staff, and 36 faculty, including 15 department chairs, who presented over 45 career education programs. 627 individuals are signed up to receive the webinar recordings and slides. Well, this is indeed a major accomplishment, and I want to thank everybody who made this successful. This is the true spirit of City College of San Francisco. And I hope we can continue working like this as a team for the improvement of the quality of lives of our students, and to hopefully to get them to be very successful citizens of San Francisco, the state, and the nation. As you know, we have a new administrative structure as the board approved that structure some time ago, and it took us some time to get everybody on board. And with this structure, we've been able to save about $500,000. I will mention the new people in a little while, but at the same time, I want you to know that we also are doing a restructuring or reconsolidation, if you want, of mid-level positions. You probably have noticed that at City College, we have a huge number of interim deans, interim directors. And what we're doing right now, and some people have already been notified of the changes that are taking place as early as January 1st, some positions have been consolidated in the sense that one dean may be having multiple responsibilities. The goal is to ensure that every administrator, be that administrator at the dean's level or be it at the director's level, we're trying to ensure and assure that the level of responsibility of every administrator is relatively or comparatively equal. Some people may probably have heard at the Mission campus, we had an interim dean who was doing very well, but we are consolidating that position, and the dean of ESL and international students will be taking over as an added responsibility the mission center. And similar things are happening at the mid-management level. You will notice that many of the positions advertised have consolidated multiple interim positions. We have thereby eliminated approximately 5 mid-management level positions. So we are doing everything we can at administrators level to ensure that we can provide a significantly high level of work with a significantly reduced staff. We are reviewing all positions. We're ensuring that there is no disparity in the level of responsibility of each administrator. This being said, we want everybody to know that we value the work of our administrators, just as we value the work of our classified staff, the work of our faculty, and the work of our department chairs. Let me tell you a little bit about the new team, not the new team, but the new members who have joined our team this past few weeks. We have the Vice Chancellor of Finance and Administration, Dr. John Alameen, who also oversees technology and facilities. We have Vice Chancellor of Student Services, Dr. Lisa Wilkins. In fact, Dr. Wilkins her first day of work was yesterday. And believe it or not, she was on campus from about 8 o'clock. And she was on campus at 7:30 at night. An interesting fact to note here, the evening custodian was worried and called his supervisor, Kevin, to find out if Vice Chancellor Wilkins will stay all night or what. But just to tell you that our new members are here and they're hitting the ground running, and we welcome them. Associate Vice Chancellor and Chief Technology Officer Ellen Rice. And she has come in at a very, depending on who you ask, very easy or very difficult time at the college. You know, we are migrating to the clouds. We have delayed that date on several occasions because of some of the issues we were dealing with. And now my understanding is that all the testings have taken place, and unless there is a major snafu, that will take place around December 10th or 11th. And she's also overseeing registration, the technology part of registration. As you know, we've had issues, and I have made it very clear to the new Vice Chancellor of Student Services and to Associate Vice Chancellor Ellen Rice that I do not want to see the problems that we had the past semesters. And they've given me their word that they are working very diligently to ensure that we don't have those problems. I know yesterday was the first day, and we registered about 1,800 students, and we received one complaint. And I shouldn't be happy, but I should say I'm happy, relatively speaking, I'm happy to say that that one complaint had nothing to do with our registration process. It had nothing to do with our technology. It only had to do with the priority registration system, of which we have very little control, because that priority registration status or system or whatever you call it is dictated to us more or less by the state. We also have a new director of governmental relations and marketing in Ms. Rosie Zepeda. And I know that many of you have met her already. She's been conducting a lot of meetings. You probably have received communications from her as well. And finally, we have an internal control person, internal auditor, whatever title you want to give that person. that person will serve more as a fiscal watchdog. Okay, I know that all of you have had concerns about the numbers the college puts forward. I know that I've heard from many people that they don't trust the numbers. The board has wanted this position for several years. And I'm glad to say that my administration has delivered on that. Mr. David James, I mean, he's here right now with us today, is the internal control person, and he started yesterday. And I know that there are many topics that, or many areas that you would want him to investigate. But I also know that there are two that are foremost in the minds of most of you, because I have heard you mention them on many occasions, whether it's the Classified Senate, the Classified Union, SEIU, Faculty Senate, AFT, and all the other unions. So I have given, as you know, Mr. James reports directly to me with a dotted line to the board. I have given Mr. James two assignments. The first one, he's going to review and look into every single consultant that the college has hired over the past several years and who are currently still working with us. How much we have paid them? What were they supposed to do? And he will give us his opinion, because bear in mind that Mr. James is also a CPA. He has done auditing, and in Southern California, he was also the president of the Auditors Associations for the beach cities of Southern California. So, and he's also going to give us his opinion whether we have had value for the money we have spent on those consultants. That's the first assignment. The second assignment, which I also know is foremost in most of your mind, I have asked him to audit the salaries of all administrators currently working at the college and who were also at the college for the past year. Where is the money paying the salaries of administrators coming from? Is it coming from general funds? Is it coming from categorical funds, restricted funds? Where is the money coming from? And if we are reporting these salaries and benefits the way we need to report them, I know perhaps that many of you would have liked more work given to Mr. James, but we have to start at some point, and these are the two assignments he has been given. And I expect him to be done with these two assignments, hopefully before the February board meeting. And he is going to make a report, he's going to report to the board at that February board meeting about his findings. And those reports that he will prepare will be made available to the college and the general public and will be posted on our website. This is the type of transparency that I want my administration to display. And hopefully this is sending the right message to everybody, that I want to have a transparent administration. And I don't know how more transparent this administration can be. A few words about the budget. As you know, the district successfully passed the $845 million Proposition A in, I think it was March of this year. And we always had some apprehension because of all the things that were happening to the college, that perhaps we would not have a great rating, and that fact might make it difficult for us to sell those bonds. But I must say that Even though we did not get a very stellar rating from Fitch and Moody's, we did very well at the sale of the bonds. And I want to thank Deputy Chancellor Gonzalez and the team that she had put together to ensure that we did the right thing. And my understanding is that we've done a wonderful job. The sales happened at the right time when we secured the best interest for the citizens of San Francisco County who are paying for those bonds. And again, on behalf of CCSF, we thank the voters of this county, and we also thank the people of the college who have done everything they can to make this possible. You know that bond money is of the greatest importance to us because we have a huge number of projects to take care of at the college. Continuing with some good news, yesterday we received an official letter from Supervisor Gordon Marr, and I know that my office, the president of the board, Ms. Chanel Williams, and a couple other people, including Dean John Halpin, were talking directly with Supervisor Marr and his staff. And yesterday, out of his discretionary funds, he made officially available to us $200,000. And he would like for us to spend that in workforce education and training. And I'm asking Vice Chancellor Tom Bogle to work with his staff to show how that money is going to be spent so that we can send a plan to Supervisor Marr indicating what we're doing with that money. You also are aware that at the last board meeting, the board approved the multi-year budget and enrollment plan. We know it is not going to be easy. We have a lot of issues, but at least we know that we also have a plan to tackle those problems. The first good part of the thing was that the Retiree Trust Board released our $21 million, which has made it possible for us to close the books on the 1920 academic year and to move forward with the 2021 budget, which the board approved in October. And hopefully with the plan that we have and with the negotiations that Deputy Chancellor Gonzalez and her team will be conducting with ATF, with AFT, SEIU, and all the other unions, we will see a light at the end of the tunnel. Is there anything we need to add to that, Deputy Chancellor Gonzalez? Do you think I've covered everything, or is there anything that we need to add?
No, I can't think of anything that needs to, we
Okay,
need to
well,
add.
thank you. Thank you. The COVID-19 update, you all know that things are changing. Almost every day, something new is happening. That whole thing is evolving at a quick speed, at a slow speed, and when we think everything is going well, something happens and we'll go back to square one. You know, over the past few days, the county went back to purple. And the bright side is that we're not the only one. In fact, even though we are also in purple, we are perhaps at the purple level, which is better than the purple level of other counties. Some new rules on reporting infections are out now. We have to inform HR immediately. All employees have to inform HR and immediately quarantine for 14 days. Students have to do the same thing. We have to place new signage almost everywhere on campus. And I'm here to be the first one to admit that we are a little bit behind in the posting of signages. But we are doing everything we can right now. We are working with the staff that we have, And we have appointed Lal Jones Babe. I'm sure most of you know him. He is the point person when it comes to communicating with DPH. And he is also the person who is monitoring everything and is informing senior administration on the latest news and what we have to do at the college. Return to campus. Well, that's another very interesting thing, the limited instruction that we have on campus. As you know, we brought some classes on campus. City Build is on campus. Allied Health is on campus. Allied Health with nursing and dental and paramedics and so on, they're all on campus at John Adams and at Ocean. The student services, the Rosenberg Library, open for contactless pickup and delivery. Non-credit and ESL registration, student health services, flu shot clinics. So we're proceeding with all these, and now, as I mentioned earlier, the situation keeps evolving. We've been told that we can continue these through the end of the semester, but for spring semester, all bets can be off, depending on the color in which San Francisco County finds itself. You also know that we were working with kinesiology, athletics, physical education to see what we could bring on campus, because there was a move across the state, something signed by all college chancellors, presidents, and so on, to start the athletic season and the competitive sports towards the end of December and early January. We submitted our plans to DPH at the last meeting when we asked DPH, so where are we? And DPH's answer was, well, nothing is happening and we're not going to get back to you on that for some time now. So this perhaps by itself tells us that perhaps athletics is not going to be back on campus in December, and the competitive sports season may not start on time. Vice Chancellor Bogle, is there anything you want to add here, or is that?
Thank you, Chancellor. The only thing I'd add is that, we are continuing our own local planning efforts, in anticipation of, at some point this is going to get turned around.
Right.
And so it's important for us to make sure that we continue with our local planning efforts so that, as we turn the corner on this and as our public health situation gets better,
Right.
We're ready to go. So that whenever DPH gives us the green light, we're ready to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I also want to touch a little bit on cloud migration. I think I mentioned that to you earlier on. And my understanding from Associate Vice Chancellor Race is that some tests were conducted and they revealed that there were some gaps that needed to be filled. And ABC Race, is there anything you want to add here? Those gaps have been filled? Are we on target?
Yes. Thank you, Chancellor. So out of all the shortcomings, we've only tested partially the migration. So rehearsal of our dress rehearsal was basically like trying maybe a sleeve of a dress on due to timing constraints, and the entire migration attempt was a 78-hour exercise. And yes, it went around the clock 24/7. And out of the identified issues, we're halfway through with a resolution with what has been identified, and in parallel are working full speed ahead to attempt our migration on December 11th, and that is going to be a 50-hour exercise as well.
Okay, well, we will ask all of you for your indulgence during those 50 hours and to think a little bit about all the IT staff who will be working round the clock to make this happen. Thank you. Also, let me say a few words about the Evans Center, the master plan that we have there. We have many centers. And as I was talking with Vice Chancellor Bogle, it came to my attention that, yes, we have those centers, but we do not really have any clear-cut educational master plans for those centers that clearly set a pathway for students attending those centers to achieve their degrees or to learn a trade and get into the workforce. And we've been more or less adding sections of classes in those centers just when people wanted them. So, okay, we need this class here, please add one, and we do so. But we need to be a little bit more, if you want, prepared into what we are doing. Do we have some kind of an education master plan for those centers? So the first one where we are looking at now is the Evans Center, because, and I'll tell you for some of the other reasons at the same time, and I have directed Vice Chancellor Bogle to work with his staff and to hold some forums at Evans so that we can have a clear educational master plan as to what kind of programs we need to be offering at Evans and what kind of pathways or tracks we need to have at Evans. All that started when the aircraft maintenance program became a big issue. So you know about the aircraft maintenance program. You know that the lease expired. You know that we've tried everything we can. And I myself have spoken with Mr. Jeff Littlefield personally, not about 3-4 weeks ago. And nothing. It has reached a point where we have to be out now. We've worked with United, and nothing is happening. Nobody wants us there. And I know that many people have made many recommendations, but there are some major issues with all that. People have mentioned the hangars at Fort Mason. That's federal land. Before we can reach any kind of agreement with the federal government, before we do that, it will take about 2 to 3 years and require an investment of several $1 million. People have mentioned the Cow Palace. People have mentioned San Carlos Airport. What Ed Code and the state is very clear about. We can only be physically present when we offer instruction within the confines of our district. That is very clearly stated. If we want to negotiate something with Cow Palace or with San Carlos Airport, we will have to negotiate first with San Mateo Community College District. If we can get their approval, their board will have to approve that approval, that request from us. And then we will have to negotiate with the county, with the Board of Supervisors for them to give their blessing. And then we will have to invest another $5 to $6 million into getting that ready. So if we were to do all that, we're looking at about, if everything were to move smoothly, it will take us at least 3 to 4 years. So Vice Chancellor Bogle and his team currently are looking at everything that can be done to move the program within the confines of our district with the least amount of disruption. Next, perhaps some of you would want to know about the Diego Rivera Theater. You've seen the letter that I had sent out. There's nothing more I can add to what I mentioned in that letter, but I can assure you that the college is committed to ensuring that this project be completed with the least amount of delay possible. And I know many people are concerned about the mural, the Diego Rivera mural, and we are as well. We can reassure everybody that the mural will come back to the college in the same condition in which it is right now and will be installed in the newly constructed Diego Rivera Theater. Anything else on that, Vice Chancellor Bogo? Have I missed something?
No, I think that's a good summary. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. A few words about the spring semester student registration. As you know, priority registration for our students started and is ongoing, right? And as I mentioned earlier on, there is an order for priority registration, and that order is dictated to us by Ed Code, by Title V, and usually that's what it is. It's a priority registration is given to foster care youth, veterans, okay, and there is an order in which we proceed. And finally, the last group is new students. Everybody is on board, everybody is helping so that we can make that a very smooth registration season. We are also focusing on non-credit and ESL students. Many days have been set aside for in-person registration at the centers and at Ocean Campus. And Ms. Zepeda is going, or I think she has already started doing that, informing the community as to the days when in-person registration will be taking place. Dr. Cooper, I know, Dr. Wilkins, I know this is your second day here. Is there anything you think I've left out here, or everything is covered in registration?
It sounds like it's all covered.
All right, okay. Before I turn over to Q&A, you know, on the 10th of December is the last board meeting for this calendar year. And it is also going to be the last board meeting for 2 trustees. I want to recognize their contribution to the institution, and I want to thank them for the level of leadership that they have provided to City College of San Francisco. I want to thank them for their candor and for the love and dedication to the students, faculty, classified staff, management, and everybody, and the students and everybody at City College. They are trustees Ivy Lee and trustee Alex Randolph. We are going to miss them, and we wish them all the best. There will be an official recognition of both trustees at next week's board meeting. I think that's about all I had, and I will be very happy to answer questions that you might have, and staff is ready to answer questions if I don't have the answers. Sean?
All right, thank you, Chancellor. For all those in the audience, if you'd like to ask a question, please go ahead and click on the little raise hand icon. We'll get you in the queue. Right now, our first person we have in the queue is Abigail Bornstein. Abigail.
Thank you. So a quick question. I am curious about the status of hiring our next chancellor for July. We're all very well aware that Dr. Vurdien was hired in for just 1 year. And so I was wondering when we're going to get started on the hiring process and putting a committee together and all of that. So if you could tell me the status on that.
Okay, thank you, Professor Bornstein. I mean, as you know, I am as anxious as you are about the new permanent chancellor coming in on July 1st. I did bring the matter up with President Williams, and I was reassured, especially after the conversation I had with the consultant that the board has working for them, Dr. Helen Benjamin. There is a timeline that has been set up, and Dr. Benjamin, working with President Williams, have waited a little bit to start the process because they wanted the full board to be present, since 2 board members are leaving in December. at the retreat, which will take place on January 14th, at which point the two new members, trustees-elect Wong and Chisty, will be sworn in. At that same meeting, Dr. Helen will be talking to the full board about the timeline. If I am not mistaken, I'm looking at the timeline with me right now. Dr. Benjamin is planning on meeting with the community to get some feedback on what to include in that job description. And if everything goes well, there should be a name taken to the board for approval, I believe, at the April board meeting. And the position should be flown towards the middle of February with a review of a screening of applications towards the middle of March and interviews towards the end of March, and then forums on campus and interviews with the board and final recommendation to the board at the April board meeting. So I hope that answers your question, Professor Bornstein, and more information will be provided at the board retreat, which is also an official board meeting on January 14th.
Great, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Abigail. Next up, we have Wynn Kaufman. Wynn, go ahead.
Hi, I actually put it in the chat, but I'm curious about how CCSF bond money can be spent on property that's not owned by CCSF. Specifically the 34.5 million
Yes.
To develop the PUC-owned property at 550 Evans.
I don't have an official answer for you, but I can tell you that our attorneys are looking into that.
Okay.
Okay, our attorneys are looking into that because there are many things that have to be considered. I mean, there are very specific, there is very specific language in when bond money is used for construction on properties that do not belong to the institution. And there are case precedents that have been established and set in California with the concern that you just raised. And so all that is being reviewed right now. And if I'm not mistaken, Deputy Chancellor Gonzalez and the attorneys might be making a presentation to the board in February on that specific matter. Deputy Chancellor Gonzalez, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And just to be a little more precise, so there are state laws and federal laws at issue when using bond funds, period. And it gets even more complex. And actually the law is unsettled with respect to using bond funds on improvements on properties not owned by the college. So, so you're correct. So we're continuing to work with bond counsel as to the criteria, and we'll be making a presentation to the board in February.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Wynn. Anyone else with any questions? You can go ahead and raise your hand. Just click on the raise hand icon there on your screen and we'll get you put on the queue. Otherwise, that would conclude our Q&A. All right, I see a hand from Harry Bernstein. Harry, go ahead.
All right, thank you very much. That was a much more extensive presentation than we've heard from the Chancellor these events. So on November 17th, the Chancellor fired the architectural team that has designed the Performing Arts Education Center for City College. As you know, it's a multiple award-winning and twice state-approved facility over the last 15 years. How soon will you be hiring a new architectural team? Also, I know you addressed this in part. Will the building be completed within its published timeline, in particular in time to house the return of the Diego Rivera mural in its permanent City College home? As you know, the The bond measure called for space for the permanent display of Diego Rivera's Pan American Unity mural. So that's something that the voters specifically were asked to endorse.
The goal is to stick as closely as possible to the initial timeline for the completion of the Diego Rivera Theater. And as far as hiring a new team, we will be working on that within the next few weeks or so, because there are certain things that I can't really share with you because of the nature of what is happening right now. So we will be communicating with you in the next few weeks as to the next step that we will be taking. But I want to reassure you, Mr. Bernstein, that the college intends to honor that timeline and at best to stick to it as closely as possible. And as I mentioned earlier on, the commitment for the return of the Diego Rivera mural to the campus, to its permanent house, is here and will remain here. Okay, that commitment is a solid commitment from the college.
You do not intend to put it in storage then?
Well, I mean, that's a little bit speculative at this point, because if you know, because we intend to have the building ready by the time the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art returns the mural to us. Okay, that's where we are right now, and we will have a very good idea once the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art opens. Right, once we know from them when we are getting it back, whether they will keep it longer. By then, we will also know when the completion date is going to be for the Diego Rivera Theater. Okay.
There's one connected question to that.
Yes.
You know, we've heard reports that on at their November 12th meeting, the trustees discussed this issue. They urged because they felt incorrectly that the building team did not comply with the requirements for the square footage and expenditures. They talked about that in their closed session. The problem was it was not on the agenda. It was not on the closed session agenda, and they violated the Brown Act in doing so. So that is very worrisome. Are you not concerned about that?
Mr. Bernstein, I can't discuss with you what takes place in closed session. Okay, you saw the agenda there. You saw the items on the closed session agenda, and I can
That
assure
was not
you,
on them.
and I can assure you that what the items were on the agenda were the only items discussed.
Well, we need some more information about that, because I think what you said is not consistent with reports that would have been circulating. But that's
I
not
can't
for you to
control
say.
the reports that are circulating, Mr. Bernstein, but all I can tell you, I can reassure you that the board discussed in closed session the items that were listed under closed session agenda. And if I'm not mistaken, the items included the union negotiations, anticipated litigation, and evaluation of the interim chancellor. Those were the three items discussed in closed session.
Okay, thank you for the elucidation.
All right, thank you, Harry. Next up, we have on stack Wynn. Wynn, go ahead.
Thank you. I guess there's not many questions, otherwise I wouldn't have been called again. Thank you very much. I'm just following up on Chancellor Vurdien. I'm really, really appreciative of your assurances that you want to keep on track with the schedule and be ready to take the mural back from MoMA. And I hope that happens. But I hope you can also understand how distressing it was, especially to those of us on the facilities committee, that we had no idea of any hint of what, problems or that this was going to happen. And we did pass a resolution at our last meeting requesting that the administration give us some information. We just feel like we're totally in the dark, and we would like to have more collaboration and communication with what's going on. And we also would like, and you have just given it, and so I'm grateful for that, but it'd be wonderful just to keep reassuring us that it's gonna, that we're gonna get the mural back, and that you're gonna do everything possible, all hands on deck, and really fast track, catching up on the schedule so that happens.
Ms. Kaufman, Professor Kaufman, this is a public meeting. Everything that I'm saying is being recorded, and I'm going to reassure everybody one more time that this project has priority over everything else, and
Thank
that
you so much.
the mural will return to the college. Okay, those are the two assurances that I can give the community right now.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Thank you so much. I hope you understand that.
No, believe me, Professor Kaufman, I understand very well. I understand. I've been here for 5 months now, and I can understand everything now. And 5 months I've been here, I've learned a lot, and I understand. Believe me, what else can I say?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Right.
And while we're kind of on the topic of transparency and communications, is it possible that we can get, that we who are participating from the public can see others in the public that are participating, and even be able to chat with them?
I was going to ask the same thing, because I usually see on the bottom of my screen number of participants. But I don't see that myself, so I don't know how to answer that question. I may turn to Associate Vice Chancellor Reyes. Maybe she can provide an answer on that.
There are 57 participants in this session.
There are 57 participants, and then you wait for the participants to know who the participants are.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. So
And can you wait for that? Okay, can you explain it, please?
yes, you can click on the participants button on the bottom of your screen.
There's no participants button on the bottom of my screen. So
Okay.
this is not a new problem. This goes on at Board of Trustees meetings. It goes on at PGC meetings. It's not a new problem, and it's something that many of us have raised and asked for many times. And so if somebody who's ever in charge of the technology for these meetings, if you can make it so that the attendees can see each other and talk to each other, I think that would be really helpful in establishing, transparency, trust, communications, collaboration, all that good stuff that, so many of us are traumatized over the last 8 years not having.
Understand. How about
Ellen, if I may, and through the Chancellor, the Academic Senate passed a resolution, I think, trying to address this problem. The AAEC provided some additional comments, and the intent is to discuss that tomorrow at PGC. So Ellen and anybody from your staff, I think it would be helpful if you were there to provide some technical guidance. And again, I think the intent of the Academic Senate resolution, and my understanding of the comments provided also by the AAEC, is the intent is to be more transparent and have a process in these types of meetings that lend itself to be more inclusive. So I just want to put that out there, that it's agendized for PGC tomorrow.
Is that helpful, Professor Kaufman?
Yeah, I'll be at PGC. Thank you so much.
And I'm going to be, for your other point, I'm going to ask Associate Vice Chancellor Reyes to work on that, to see how the participants can see the panelists and also can know who are the people participating in the meeting.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Would you work on that, Ms. Reyes?
Yes, of course. Yes, we can work on that.
All right.
All right, our next question comes from Harry Bernstein again. Harry, go ahead.
Okay, by the way, I'm just going to preface this by saying we just went to the Evans meeting, and in the midstream, they changed the chat so that they went from only the panelists being seen to everybody being seen. So just as a precedent, even though this is a different kind of meeting. So I want to bring up the Chancellor on, I think it was the 27th or 28th of October, received a letter of intent from the SFPUC about the education building at 1550 Evans. The Chancellor acknowledged that at his later that week at the open forum that was held in October, and he said it was going to the lawyers.
Yes.
I have a lot of concerns about that, and two things. One, I'd like to know when that will come forth to the public. Who in the administration and the participatory governance will actually have to weigh in on that or sign it, and what it's going to be. Also, we learned this week that SFPUC General Manager Harlan Kelly resigned after being charged by a federal prosecutor for allegedly accepting bribes from a contractor. I've heard it said that this may impact a number of large projects that have happened in the past, and maybe he wouldn't necessarily be influencing things in the future, but he certainly has his fingerprints on this letter of intent because that's under his regime. So letter of intent of the future of 1550 Evans.
Okay, I think we've answered most of that question.
Really?
Deputy Chancellor Gonzalez did mention that everything is still being reviewed and there are questions that are being answered and so on, and there will be a presentation to the board at the February board meeting. As far as we do not discuss FBI investigations and things like that, that's not for us to, we don't get into that, and that doesn't come into the decision that we make. Our decision will be based solely on the legal implications of using bond money to fund projects on properties that do not belong to us. That's all we are interested in. Okay, and we will be presenting that, as we mentioned earlier on, hopefully at the February board meeting, by which time we are hoping that our attorneys will have concluded everything that they need to do so that we can have a comprehensive report to present to the board.
So you're not expecting any kind of revealing of the letter of intent before the February meeting?
No, the board is the highest, the supreme authority for our organization, and the board is the body that needs to review it first in an open session of the board meeting. No one should be hearing about it before the board hears it at that open meeting, to which you are welcome to attend, Mr. Bernstein. And I believe that meeting is on February 26 or 27. Linda? The February board meeting, you have a date?
We can find the date.
Okay, all right.
But it seems that there's usually participatory governance that sees things before they come to the board, especially the facilities committee earmarked themselves for the place that any facilities related issues should start. Dean Bynum himself said that when he was co-chair. So now it's only going to be the board that discusses these things?
Anything that has the potential of being a liability to the district is a governance, a board issue, and needs to be addressed by the board. Participatory governance is not involved in issues that can lead to liability for the district. Okay, so that's why it has to be reviewed by the board in an open meeting where everybody hears about it at the same time and the board members get to discuss it. Because ultimately, the people who will be held responsible for any liability, who will be listed as respondents, are not going to be the members of the participatory governance. They're going to be the board of trustees and the chief executive officer. Okay.
Just what you said about transparency, I hope that will apply to these issues.
Well, this is why it is transparent, Mr. Bernstein. This is the transparency.
We'll have to wait until February to see how it shakes out.
Yes, that's what the transparency is. Everybody will be seeing it at the same time. No, there will be no preview for anybody. It will be open, public, presented by the attorneys and Deputy Chancellor Gonzalez to the board in an open meeting where everybody will get to hear it. That's what it is. And you will probably be seeing it even a few days before that, because the report will be published the Friday before. So you will get to review it 5 days before the board meeting. Or well, I think it's 5 days or 4 days. I don't know exactly how many days, but you will get to see it. And if you have a public
72
comment,
hours.
huh?
72 hours at least.
72 hours. There you go. 72 hours. You will have it before
But
the board
Chancellor,
meeting.
I just wanted, just commenting on that, I'm just surprised that this will happen within the next 3 months, and
Yes.
that's very clearly stated. I'm just surprised that there were 3 board meetings in the last 2 years where expenditures on 1550 Evans came up with all the lawyers weighing in on it, and these issues never came up. Do not seem to have come up.
I cannot answer for what previous lawyers and previous administration have done, Mr. Bernstein. I can only tell you about what my administration is doing. My administration acts in an independent, objective, legally mindful manner without putting anybody in jeopardy and without incurring any type of liability to the district and to the board members. Okay.
I've just one final question not related to that. Is there any possibility, going back to the Diego Rivera Theater, if it turns out that the building team met all the requirements for matching the budget with the costs that they were projecting, that they could be reinstated? Is that an option even?
Mr. Bernstein, I do not get involved in making speculative answers.
I'm asking them to be considered.
This is a what if scenario, and I do not get into what if scenario. I just go with the facts as they are. All right. And this,
I am
you know
asking
where
if
we
you
are right
considered.
now. And that's all I can tell you.
It's easier to do a timeline with an existing scheme than to start all over. I'm just stating the obvious.
I think you have read the letter that was sent out. The district is owed certain reports, and those reports include the designs and the plans that have been prepared up to this point. So there will be no delay
I see.
in the completion of the final plans for that building. Okay. All right, I think we don't have much time left now. We have about 3 minutes. I'll take one last question and then we'll conclude this forum.
All right, we have a couple people in the queue, but we'll get this one
Okay,
last
if there are a couple
person
of
on the
we'll
phone.
take both of them. We'll take both of them.
All right, caller ending in 289. I think I know who this is, but I don't want to speculate.
Okay, hi, that would be me.
Hi,
my name is
Brenna.
Dana. Hello, how are you? So I have a question going back to I heard some questions about, allocating bond funds to properties that the college doesn't own. And I don't know if this is like something that the college would view as a possible liability, but would the board be able to discuss how it can be that the college was allocating bond funds to the 1550 to the PUC, to a PUC-owned property? Would they be able to discuss that? Because as a facilities member, we have never been opportunity to discuss that when we were discussing the master plan. So is that something the board would be able to divulge?
I will do my best to see if we can provide you with an answer to this question. Okay.
Okay.
We will do that for you. We will provide an answer to that question, which I don't have right now. All right.
All right, thank you, Brenna. I do not see the other hands put their hands down, so that concludes the hands for Q&A.
Okay, well, again, I thank you very much and for being present today. And I think that the forum has provided an opportunity for all of you, if not most of you, to have some of the questions that you might have about what is happening at the college answered. I thank you again. I wish you all a very happy holiday season with your family. And I hope you take good care of yourselves and that you do everything you can to protect your own health by wearing a mask. Again, thank you. Have a great evening, a great week, and I will see you at the next forum. Thank you.